Hey y'all, it's me, your favorite pimp, Ty. Welcome to our Lessons Learned from a Pimp series. Today's lesson is all about cultivating relationships as a project leader. So let's get into it. All right. So today's guest is Miss Nancy J. Lewis, owner and CEO of Progressive Techniques Incorporated. So Nancy, oh my gosh, she's such a dynamic, transformational coach and leader. I love her so much, and I really recently just met her, maybe about a year and a half ago that we met. But just came into my life like a whirlwind, and I felt so blessed to have met you, and you kind of read me right away, right?
Yes, I did.
So she is kind of the reason that we're sitting here today on this web series. But Nancy is a management and leadership development trainer and strategist. She helps organizations leverage generations, talent, people, and processes to positively impact their bottom line. So, everybody, let's give her a warm welcome. Thank you, Nancy, for being here.
Thank you for having me on your show. I'm honored.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So, can you tell us just a little bit more about yourself, your business, and how you help prepare leaders for the world today?
Well, you've given a lot of information, but I am a transformational trainer, executive and business coach. I work with clients, helping them navigate the people factor because the process will always work as long as you press the right button. But the people factor is what ties people up. So I help leaders learn how to navigate, leverage, and engage and empower their workforce through different strategies. But I tell people it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So it's really learning how to develop, we call them soft skills, but they're really not soft skills. They are essential skills that you must have in place to leverage and build relationships and to build a productive and positive team.
Yeah, I
So
like
that's what I do.
I love it. Essential skills, like they are essential to helping us to have our organizations run smoothly. So I definitely agree. And I forgot to mention also that you are an author of at least two books that I know I have in my library. One is called Be Intentional, and you can see I have on my shirt that says hashtag Be Intentional. Yes. And this book is pretty much a monthly where you can get your meditations each and every day. I love it. So for August, the first one, I picked it up today and I was like, oh my God, this is so wonderful. Number one is live life like an explanation point and not an period. So I love that. And Nancy, your birthday is in August too, right?
2 days is the third. Two
Yeah,
days from today. It's the 3rd of August, yeah, but I celebrate the whole month.
I know
So
that's
I
right.
just came back celebrating with the girlfriend. Her birthday was today. So every year that comes around, it's an opportunity to celebrate life because they call it the present for a reason because it's a gift to unwrap and enjoy.
Yes, and I love the month of August too. Both of my babies are born in August. I have an August 4th baby and an August 28th baby.
Eight is the number of new beginning.
Yes, it
So
is. And
that I tell people if you've messed up, if you've missed the mark, if you've not done what you need to do, it's pressing reset and starting again for a new beginning.
definitely. And it's the sign of the infinity if you flip it over on its side or on its side. So I love it. So let me read August 4th, since that's my baby's birthday. It says success keys, see yourself at the top. So I love that the visualization, embrace change with an open mind and have the right attitude and be spiritually grounded. I love that. I love everything about it. And then August 28th for my oldest baby, each day you wake up is another opportunity to make a difference. So I love this book, Be Intentional. I keep it and I read it each and every day. So thank you for these inspirational words.
Thank you for supporting me. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Definitely. All right. So tonight, Miss Nancy, is all about the cultivation of relationships, right? So I know with change and being a project leader, so I know that even though you may not be the actual project manager leading the change, you are still involved very heavily in the projects as well. So, from your wealth of experience, what are the must have traits of a standout project leader?
Is that you need to surround yourself with people on your team who have skill sets that you don't have. You can't be, as an entrepreneur, you learn, you can't be an expert at everything. So even if you're a project manager, you are the project manager. Like when I do my women's event each year, it is my brainchild that God gave me, but I can't do all the pieces to it. So I have people who they have strengths and areas I don't have those strengths. I let them play to their strengths. So an effective project manager has people around that are supporting them with skill sets that they don't have. You can't be a 10 in everything. And you have to trust people to do what they've been gifted to do and get out of the way.
Yes, that empowerment piece is so big. That was going to be my next question. So, with the empowerment piece, how do you cultivate these traits within your teams? So, if you're working with these teams and as you're leading these big projects, how do you cultivate certain traits on your team?
Well, I think for me, what I do is I try to model what I do in an expert way, what I'm good at doing. And even if I miss the ball, I tell people, you're going to mess up. I think a quote I saw Nelson Mandela said, you never lose, you either win or you learn. So I tell people, you never lose, you learn something. So even in the process of people making a mistake on a project they're working on, there is not a beat down. How do we learn from this? What did we learn from this? You take the bag, you take the lesson and leave the baggage. So what did we learn from this? So going forward, we won't make the same mistake. And we share that. Sometimes I'm encouraging my clients now to create their own playbook. So they're going through working on projects, create a playbook of things that work, that are successful, that you can duplicate, but things also that didn't work, you can actually write those down. And what did you learn from them? So going forward, you know what you need to modify, adjust, and adapt so that it doesn't happen again.
Yes, I love. Oh, a playbook. I love it. Do
We're
you?
giving people, though, the ability to be able to fail.
Yep. And fail forward, fail fast, fail forward, and keep moving.
And that's it. That's it. And some people, when they fail, the organization or the culture or the person who's the project leader, sometimes they do, we do it, the quasi deep down. That is not what you need to do because then you shut people down. And at some point, I told a client today, I said, there was a time when you start doing something for the first time, you didn't start out where you think about when we actually began to ride a bicycle back in the day. You had training wheels on the bicycle to help you get used to riding on the bicycle. And then as you developed the skill set, they took the training wheels off and you were able to ride. But you fell a few times even then. So we have to be willing to let people fall to help them get back on and keep moving forward.
Yes, I love it. So even so, at me being, I don't want to call myself a perfectionist. I call myself, I say that I like the color within the lines very straight.
You are a perfectionist. Just call it out. You're a perfectionist. Okay, I call outside the lines. I don't care. I messed up. It's okay.
So how do you coach someone like me that doesn't necessarily like I understand the importance of failing, but I still don't like the way that it feels. So if I come in bummed out one day, how would you coach me and keep me moving on the project?
I would tell you to get out of your own way because the point is to seek excellence, not perfection. Period. And I think when people, there's nothing wrong with seeking excellence. There's nothing wrong with seeking perfection. But the only person who was perfect was Jesus. We're going to miss the mark a little bit or a lot. And the key thing is that you seek excellence. You can keep moving forward. And someone said, implement now, perfect later. You have to sometimes begin the process now. So I would tell you, get out of your own way. Okay, dust yourself off, pick yourself up. What did you learn from? My thing is, what did you learn from this? I would say, Ty, what did you learn from this? Okay, based on that learning, how you apply this going forward so that this doesn't happen again. But I said, we're not going to wallow in it. We're not going to do it. We're going to keep it moving because you can have a pity party, but I will not join you because I'm not going to create pity city. We're going to move it forward.
I love it. I definitely totally agree with that. Because sometimes we can kick ourselves all the way down, and we definitely have to get up and keep moving because otherwise your work is going to stop. Work really doesn't stop, but it hinders the team from being productive, those few days that you are down. So I definitely agree. Keep me
And then
motivated.
I would ask you the question also, what would you tell your children if the situation was going on. You would tell them to keep going. You would encourage them. So how about we practice what we preach?
Yep. And that is hard as humans, but yes. Yes, my mom kind of gave me the same advice a couple of weeks ago. Things just were going crazy, and I was like, "Well, I didn't do this, and I didn't plan right, because being a planner is just in me. Like, why didn't I think of Plan D?" She was like, "Well, Ty, you've kicked yourself pretty good since we've been on this phone, so I need you to stop kicking yourself and move on with it." So, I definitely agree that you have to listen to advice, remain coachable, and if you are going to be the one that gives the advice, you definitely have to follow the advice on the back end of it.
I tell people sometimes who are people that are perfectionists, who are planners, who have every I dotted, every T crossed, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's some people's style. But I tell them to put on their computer, get out of your own way. Because let's say your own way, because sometimes you're overthinking, you're overanalyzing, and you get into paralysis of analysis, and by the time you move, it is outdated.
I agree. I love it. Miss Nancy holds no punches, so
How can you be the best you can be? So I'm always in prayer about what to say to people, but whatever God tells me to say, I'm going to tell you because I know it's the word in season, and if you receive it, it's going to change your life.
definitely. Definitely. So when it comes to relationships, Miss Nancy, you know that they're the backbone of everything that we do, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're working inside of organization, whatever it is. What are your strategies that you go to all the time for building meaningful connections with your team members and with your stakeholders?
I think it's important. First of all, I tell people when you meet people and you begin to create the relationship, you have to nurture that relationship. You have to nurture. You don't just wait till you need something to reach out to people. If you meet somebody at an event that you know that there's some camaraderie there or there's a connection, you don't wait 2 weeks to reach out to them. I tell people within 24 to 48 hours, you need to reach out to them via email or a call to say, "Hey, we met the other day," just while it's fresh. So when many people don't do that, they wait. Sometimes they lose the car, they lose whatever the case is. But you have to work at building relationships. They don't just happen. Relationships rule. So you have to be intentional, which is what the shirt says. You have to be intentional with the relationships and wanting to forge ahead, wanting to cultivate and say, how can I be a blessing to someone else? It's not about always what I can get. How can I add value for you? So many times there are people that I meet, they tell me they're interested in this or that. Like one of my clients I'm working with, and I'm certified in emotional intelligence, so I'm always talking about EQ. And so he said, "Well, as you read articles and see stuff, can you send it to me?" So as I see stuff, I would just send to him, "Hey, for your information." So I'm always looking for how I can help my stakeholders, people that are in my circle that I'm working with, whether it's just professional colleagues or people that are paying me. How can I be a blessing? How can I add to you? How can I help solve a pain point for you? But it's consistency. You have to be consistent with your relationship building. You have to be intentional. I can't say that enough. It has to be intentional where you stay in contact with them once. There are some people that I reach out to maybe like once a month. They've not done business with me yet, but they have an interest about once a month. I'll send them a, "Hey, just reconnecting. Want to stay on your radar screen. How's everything going?" I may even send them an article, but it's those kinds of things that have leveraged me business. I reached out to one client literally for almost 2 years. I want to do business with. And she would say, "It's great to hear from you," all that. I sent her my newsletter. I would do this, do that. And finally she said, "Okay, I need to bring you in to do something." But it was the consistency. And my clients would tell me, "Your consistency, how you follow up is just amazing." I said, "No, it's just in the systems. You have all these systems in place, Outlook, different things. We have these tools. How about we use some of those tools to help us? So when I talk to people, I'm making notes in Outlook about what we talked about. So when I call you the next time, I just pick up where we left off. This is not rocket science."
Yeah. That's a good system. Taking notes, being attentive to people, and what they might need and what they say they are in need of. So I definitely love that. So when it comes to keeping up with those systems, I kind of heard a few gems that you dropped about, every month or something like that. How do you not be too much of a pest, trying to reach out to people? Because that's always my word. I'm like, "Oh God, I hope I'm not bothering them. I hope I'm not pestering them," and things like that. So
That is a fine line that I really ask God to help me with because it is a fine line to being a pest than to be persistent. And so I find that for the most part, if I reach out to somebody, like there's one man I reached out to, we met, I've done stuff with him, and he says, I'm interested, blah, blah, blah. And so he responded back to an email about a month ago and said, hey, I haven't forgot about you, and just give me a few minutes, I'm going to reach out to you in another couple of weeks. Now, it's been over another month has passed. So I reached out to him probably the last 3 weeks, at least once a week. Because, I know he's busy, he's doing a lot of things, but I'm going to reach out to him again probably next week because I know it's striking when the iron is hot and because he has expressed an interest. But as long as there's an interest expressed from the person I'm talking to that's like, hey, I just got a lot going on, and they respond at some point, I will at least monthly. Sometimes it's monthly with some people. Sometimes it's more, it might be every other week based on who I'm trying to work with. But it's the minimum is usually a month. And usually when I talk to someone, I'll say, okay, when's a good time to reach back out to you? They'll say, well, reach out to me a month from today. So I go to that next month while I'm on the phone, putting call, tie back next month, and basically do it today. So that's the way to make sure that you stay on track. So when you call them back, you said last month to give you a call. So month has passed, so I'm back here with you again. And you talked about the last time X, Y, Z. That impresses people that you can recall it. But what it also forces you is that you cannot be multitasking on some of these conversations. Because if you're multitasking, you're not going to be actively listening. And that gem they may give you that they're interested in, you may miss because you were multitasking. So active listening is a gift to the people that you're talking to. And it's something we have gotten far from. We don't listen well. Stephen Covey says we listen with the intent to respond. The critical piece is that it's just realizing that, life happens. And sometimes we're going to be multitasking. But if it's someone that's an important client, you're really trying to make some inroads with, it would be important for you to make sure you want to hear everything they're saying because that one message, that one nugget they may drop that you were doing, you touched the left or you did something else, you missed it. That was your opportunity to be able to provide them with something they need that you had.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're using systems that are already in place, your Outlook, maybe your OneNote, things like that, to actually set up workflows. Is that what I'm hearing?
Because even on my phone, there's times on my phone, I have, with iCloud, sometimes I'm talking to someone like I was with a person earlier today and they gave me some information. So I put a note in my iCloud in terms of, because I was not at home, so when I come home, I can go back and pull it up and retrieve it. But sometimes in the moment, sometimes things are shared that by the time you get home or to a spot where you can recapture the essence, you lost it.
Yeah.
So I said, we had one of my coaches years ago told me, why are you always trying to put everything in your head? You have all these systems. Use the tools that you have to be able to help you so you can put things there to help you become even more effective and productive.
Yeah. So I love the fact that you're using systems to help cultivate relationships. Like that sounds so beautiful because people do, they just use systems to a minimal level, right? You're just sending out an email and things like that, but you're not really taking the full effect of the system. You're not really realizing it. And you're definitely not meeting the needs of your clients as well. So I definitely love building those workflows and building the process.
And even in the process, sometimes I'm meeting with clients and they tell me when their birthday is or an anniversary or whatever. I make note of that. And sometimes when it comes around, I'll just say, happy anniversary. Remember we talked last year, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, I pay attention. And those things I tell people, those things carry a lot of weight because you're paying attention to the details. In the sense that you were truly listening, because most times that will gloss over people. Now, I hear you, but they didn't hear. And when you actually respond and say, happy anniversary, happy birthday, whatever it is, you remember that. They're like, wow, it sets you apart because most people are not going to do that. If you really want to set yourself apart, actually get you some note cards and send for people that you really want to connect with and send them a handwritten note card. You want to really separate yourself from everybody else. Go buy you some cards, have some with your logo, whatever you want to do, but get you some note cards. And when you meet people that impact your life, and whatever way that is, send them a handwritten note card to them. You will gain volumes by doing that.
I love it. Okay, y'all. Miss Nancy has just dropped like 10,000 gems. It's like a Sega game over here, just racking up the points. So I hope everyone is being intentional and taking notes about everything that she has mentioned, using systems, using process, a handwritten note or letter to reach out to your clients, to reach out to that person that you want to work with, even if it's, I would say, even if it's a mentorship, if you're looking for that as well. I love
Absolutely. And actually, people, if you're looking for a mentor, sometimes I mentor a lot of people, but I tell people I can't mentor everybody, and I'm not trying to. I coach a lot of people. I said this is not a hobby; it's a business. So I coach a lot of people. I mentor quite a few people, but I can't mentor everybody. So I tell people I take what I do seriously
Mm-hmm.
because I know it's the gift God has given me. So I want to make sure that I'm a good steward of what He's given me. So if I can help you even in this one situation, I will. But I won't commit to being your mentor because I can't. Sometimes I don't have the bandwidth.
Right. Right.
Sometimes it's important for people to be honest and say, I would love to help you every now and then. If you have a question, I tell some of my clients, if you have a question regarding X, Y, Z, send me an email and just put in there, I work with you, I'll respond to it. And when I actually do that, people are surprised.
Yeah.
I said, I don't say it lightly. If I tell you, you should reach out to me if you have a question around HR or people issues or something that you know with a specific situation where it's related to people. But God has graced me to know how to help you navigate people issues that are real serious. Because I worked in HR, so I've dealt with a whole lot of serious stuff. So I can guide you and navigate you to know how to do things.
Yeah. And so I know that even when I went to your conference back in March, it was the connection. You set me beside just the right person, because I was looking to develop some things, and she was like, "Oh, Miss Nancy told me to find you," and we were sitting right. And I guess you did that on purpose. You set us right.
I did not do that. That's just the way you just set. God set it up. I didn't do it. God set it up.
Well, thank you, God, and thank you, Miss Nancy, for the connection, because it has been wonderful. So, I mean, that also is a part of cultivating relationships. I think you said it before, is the connection. Like, if I can't help you, then maybe there's someone that can, reach out and reach back and be that person for you.
Yes, like I had a call yesterday with a colleague, one of my dear friends who is he's a heavy hitter in this organization. Right now, there's nothing I can do for his organization. So he referred me to another lady who's also a heavy hitter. She said, Nancy, I don't have anything right now for you, but what I'm going to do is send me your information. I'm going to send it to 2 or 3 people in Atlanta who are heavy hitters that can help you. So sometimes people that you may get introduced to may not have anything just in your sweet spot. But you can always ask them, who else do you know that could benefit by what I do? And ask them to make those referrals. And people do that. And I said, make sure you speak to me on it so that I can follow up, because many times people that work for organizations, they're busy. They have a lot on their plate. And getting with you sometimes is not a high priority. But for me, it is. I'm going to reach out to you once they make the introduction.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. All right. So let's we talked about challenges already. But when it comes to actually fostering collaboration and trust, how do you suggest that we clear obstacles to keep our projects on track?
I think to clear your obstacles to stay on track, you have to have people that are like-minded. You have to be like-minded. If you are an eagle, eagles only hang with other eagles. They don't hang with bluebirds, turkeys. They do not. So clearly, you have to realize if you're talking to people and sometimes they're saying that's too big, or I don't know how we can do that, that's letting you know we're not in the same camp. So we need to part ways. I'm going to love you, but we're not in the same camp. So people, their verbiage will let you know. I vet people in the spirit. When I'm talking to people, I'm saying, okay, this is, I don't know, that's too big. What's not too big for God? I said maybe too big. It's not too big for God. So when I hear certain language, that lets you know that we're probably not going to be well suited for this, because you're going to try to get us to abort the mission because you think it's too big. So it's really knowing that people are like-minded, who have, or visionaries. Like I tell people, someone told me the other day, the sky is not the limit, it's only a view. And so you have to have people that are around you who think the same way, so that even when your faith is weak, they're going to remind you, you still have to stay in faith. If you can't figure it out, that's good, because it's not left up to you. So you want to make sure you're getting people around you who are like-minded, who think in the same realm that you think in, that the impossibility can become possible. And if they don't think in that same realm, they're nice people, but they're just not the people for your project.
Awesome. So, and so let me tell you something. I know that I work in the public sector a lot, and a lot of times we are handed team members, right? As far as our projects. So what then? How do we cultivate that relationship, that trust and things like that? Because I can't say that because I'm an eagle, I can't hang out with this blue jay, because it's some blue jays on the project sometimes.
Sometimes we, in the working world, in the real world, sometimes whether it's the private or the public sector, we inherit teams we wouldn't have hired on our own. People that clearly are not in the same camp we're in. That's when it becomes important. Sometimes you have to do retraining. You have to then begin to document. So when people are missing it, because maybe sometimes they're not getting it because they don't have the skill set. You try to figure, okay, where is the missing link here? And some people have just been used to not having to do anything and been doing that for so long, they don't want to do anything. And then you come along saying, hey, this is a new day, we're in a new era, you got to do some of these things. That's when you have to begin, my HR comes in, that's when we have to begin to do this is when we have to begin to give you some coaching sessions internally. And then I'm going to follow with an email saying, we talked about this. This is what we expect going forward. Then you have to help develop them. And if that doesn't work, sometimes they have to explore their career options. Sometimes when you come in the public sector specifically, a lot of times people will, I do a lot of work in the government space. Many times people, when they realize that they have to now rise up and actually do work, you think so. They will find out, realizing that Ty's not going to take this, that she's going to make me do something. So let me just give me a special detail and go someplace else. So sometimes people have the latitude to move around, so they don't have to change. They just move around. But sometimes when you're going to hold people's feet to the fire to say, you can get this done, they will go someplace else because they don't want to do that. So sometimes, yes, we do inherit people we wouldn't have hired on our own. We would not even want them on our team. But it's basically at that point you have to do sometimes internal coaching, basically sometimes micromanagement, maybe initially to get to where they need to be. And then basically what you want to do is try to develop them to where they can actually do what you need them to do. And if that's not the case, then you've done some progressive discipline along the way or constructive feedback. And at some point, you may have to look at some options. That's real.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen overnight. It's not an easy process. And it's time consuming. It takes a lot of time. A lot of time.
Yeah. And so when you look at the micromanaging portion of it, if it's needed, how do you know when it's time to say, okay, I can let up a little bit. I can let up off this person and I don't have to micromanage them as much.
When you let's say you bring in you're working, you inherit a team and you get, let's say Betty is her name. Betty is just like, oh Lord, you just got to pray every time you see Betty. So you begin the process of working with Betty, basically saying, okay, you actually are going to see some things with Betty where her strengths are. You even ask Betty, what do you think your strengths are? You can ask that person, what do you think your strengths are? Where are you struggling? And then basically you can begin to navigate from that. But as you give her a task, and you say, okay, here's your new task, and I'm going to help you navigate through this. I'm going to walk you through this. And if you have questions, I'm here to guide you through. And then you begin to take the training wheels off. You begin to step back. You do less frequent check-ins, but you still are there. You don't just let it go fancy free from 0 to 100. You do it's a graduated process. But as you speak, her actually rising up and completing the task and completing the deadline and the goal that you set out, that's when you begin to scale back. But you want to make sure that this person they understand what the goal is, how they need to get there, and maybe they don't do it the way you would do it, but if you get the outcome and the results you want, you just want the results. But you have to help them get there. And you let them know, hey, I want to help you now, but I want you to be able to do this on your own. So my desire is to help get you to a place where you don't need me here. You want to let them know that I'm not trying to, I have a lot to do. I'm trying to get you up to speed as quickly as I can. So if there's a way that I can help you more, let me know. You want to engage them.
I like that.
So you're like, sometimes they don't want to be engaged. Sometimes they don't want to be engaged. Okay?
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah. That is true. But you're saying it's progressive. You have to progressively see their progress. Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
And you see let's say it's a four-part process to this. And so you work with her, but all the processes are the same because the reality is that the process will generally work as long as you follow the process. Because it's a process. Mm-hmm. So the process is the same maybe for all four parts. So the first part you walk her through and basically guide her and you tell them, take notes. Take notes that what I'm saying to you, you put in your own verbiage so that when you go back to do part 2, you have a playbook to help you. Because sometimes I work with people where I've been getting information, they're looking at me while I'm talking. I had to tell one young lady, excuse me, I think this would be prudent for you to take some notes.
I love taking notes. I don't understand why people don't, but so don't look at me. Look at your paper. Get your pen and paper out.
Because they will come back to you the next time and ask you, how do I do this again? Yeah. And you've already told them. So the point is, why do you have to keep telling them that? You shouldn't have to. Once I'm walking you through the process, take notes of how you can remember it for you and the way you need to write it. So when you go to this part 2, it's the same process, but now you can do it on your own. Then I come and look at it and say, okay, you're on track. So part 3 and 4, you do on your own. So it's a graduated process to get them to where they can do it on their own. But sometimes it doesn't work. This is not an exact science. Sometimes it doesn't work even doing that.
And so Yeah, and I'm sorry. So if it doesn't work, is that when you within your workflow send them to HR or send them out of the organization?
Typically, if you have someone who is a part of your team that's on a project and they're a critical piece to it, and they have performance standards, they have things they need to get done, and they keep missing them, and you're documenting. At some point, you have to go to HR, but you need the documentation of what things they have missed over time. So when you go to HR, you can say, okay, I have met with Betty 5 times, given Betty these things. I sent Betty 5 emails referencing what we talked about, and she is still missing it. We in HR love that. You give me documentation. At this point, we may have to have a conversation and say, "Hey, Betty, this is a problem. So we're going to put you on maybe some progressive discipline where we need to see in the next 30 days a change in terms of how you're doing things, and then we need to revisit where we are. And it may be that if there's no change by 30 days comes around, she may be gone.
Yeah.
But every organization is different. Some people hold on to people long, and I can tell people as an HR person, sometimes we say hire slow, fire fast, whether in the onboarding. But because right now there is such a war on talent, good talent, people are trying to hold on to people sometimes that they should let go of because they have a body in a chair. But there is a major war on talent right now that's keeping people in positions sometimes longer than they need to be.
Mm, wow. Yeah, I know that definitely happens in the public sector side of things. But
Yes, yes.
yeah. So when you look at the impact of relationships on projects, right? Do you have a story that you could share with us where strong relationships were a game changer, where it turned your project around for the best?
I, you know, absolutely. My Transformable Entrepreneurs event, that this year we did it in March, and over the years I have initially I was kind of hold on to everything myself. It's like this is kind of like my baby, but over the last couple of years I have basically just release stuff to people. I mean, okay, you do that. Okay, that's what you do. You do what you do. You send me like whatever you think you want to do to make sure that that it's in line with what I want to do. But you handle it. So I had people that were doing different things, whether it's the decorations over here, it's the things over here. You're handling stuff in terms of setting up the exhibits. You're doing, but people have their different functions. My staff who can't handle registration, all this stuff, they know what they need to do. I'm hands off. So I know, I've trusted you. I've seen you tell me what you know how to do, and it's just people come in and like it's so seamless. But it's just a point where I trust the people that work with me to do what they need to do. And if they don't do it, I correct them very quickly. Like I had a situation that occurred 2 weeks ago where I was doing something and I'd given clear instructions to that team. I said, here's the deal. This is what you need to do. I need to be in place when I come back because this person's coming. I need you to be at the door to greet me when I come back. How about I got there? Nobody was there. So I pulled them to the side like immediately and I said, this is unacceptable. This is just, I said, I told you I was on my way back. I told you where you need to be, and nobody was around. That is unacceptable. That cannot happen again while I'm here.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen again because I'm one. It was a big thing because people said they weren't in place and blah blah. So it came back to hit me, and I'm like, oh. So I mean, I'm okay with taking the heat, but I had told them before I left. I said, I need you to be in position. I'll be back in 15 minutes. I need you to be in position here. I need you to be on post. I came back. They weren't there. So I put them to the side, and I said, I'm not happy. I said, what happened? They're like, well, they started. I said, okay, let me just say this can't happen again. Okay, that's it. In the story.
Yeah.
When I tell you to be in a position, you need to be there. So we're going to do self-correction real quickly on a project to get you in line. I love you to life, but we can't do that. We want to do flawless execution as much as possible.
Flawless execution. I do love it. So I heard trust. I heard delegation, delegating task. I heard trusting when you delegate, and then if there is something that happens to fail, then it's quick course correction for the team.
Absolutely.
I
It
like.
works for me. It works every time, but that's my style. And so I have people that are around me who can handle my style because if you are someone who's not confident, because when I talk to people, I teach people skills. I know how to talk to people. I'm nice. I'm like, this can't work. I told them, this is unacceptable. I gave you a clear instruction. You didn't follow the instructions. Why? And they just go, they really didn't have an answer. But I said, it can't happen again. I said, we got to fix this. This can't happen again. So I love you enough to bring you correction because the Bible says you correct those you love. I'm correcting you so we can get it right. So people have to be able to not be in their feelings because it's not personal. It's about the project we're working on. It's the mission.
Yeah.
Let's be clear on that. This is not personal.
Yeah.
When you don't do the impact, people want to make stuff personal. It's when you don't come to work on time, it impacts how we get things done because you're not here to do your role. It's not about you, the person. It's about your performance and your behavior and your actions.
I agree. I definitely.
That's how I do. But everyone has their own style. And some people are more laid back, and I'm not a laid back person. I'm just not. I am energizing. I love what I do, and I want to see people make positive, productive changes. I want people to excel and soar. That's my desire. The best they can be.
Yeah. That is such awesome advice, and I hope that all of our listeners are taking notes. They have their notebooks and have taken so many of your gems that you've dropped today. I absolutely love it. I do appreciate you being here with us this evening, Miss Nancy. I'm getting cues from our producer that it is time for us to get ready to get out of here. So I know you are a Christian woman, and so am I. But you have been on Lessons Learned from a Pimp. So I just want you to pop your collar real quick. I appreciate you being on our podcast and coming and sharing your great wealth of knowledge about relationships, about people, and about process.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm always happy to share my perspective. And again, as you know, I always say, it's just a gift God has placed inside me to do what I do. It's nothing I do of my own. It's His gift He's given me. So I'm a marketplace evangelist. I just do what I need to do in the marketplace.
And you do it so well. So let everyone know also where they can follow you, how they can get in touch with you.
Okay. Well, they can follow me on LinkedIn at Nancy J. Lewis. It's Lewis. On LinkedIn, I'm there. I do an inspirational nugget every Monday morning, but I do a lot of other stuff. I always have a theme. And the theme for August is New Beginnings. That's the theme for August. They can reach me at 770-964-5533. That's 770-964-5533. Or they can reach me on a wonderful web. I just had my website rebranded, www.progressivetechniquesinc.com. That's www.progressive is an insurance company, technique, TECHNIQUESINC.com. We'd love to work with you.
Yes, thank you, Miss Nancy. We appreciate your time. And you can follow us at Her PM on LinkedIn. You can also please follow, share, subscribe to us on YouTube. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, Miss Nancy.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.